And I'm thrilled that we had people sign up from overseas. Lily is one of them who's joining us today. Lily, are you in South Africa today? Or are you elsewhere?
Yep, I'm in SA.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah,
Well, welcome all the way
thank
from
you.
Africa.
I know, I know. I tell you what, it's almost dinner time here, but I'm definitely very happy to join. So looking
Oh,
forward to
we're
getting
thrilled you're here.
dinner.
Thank you so much. I know it's a bit late on your
Yeah,
side, so
no worries. No, thank you very much for putting this together because it's actually I need the help. I need to understand how it all works properly. So thank you, Carrie.
cool. Well, no, I'm so glad that Alicia and Katie and Lally are here because you all are you do a lot of fam trips, and Lally is with Guilt Edge Travel in South Africa, and you do some very creative things with fam trips. So I think this is very a good group, even if we're a small but mighty group today.
Hi,
And so,
Carrie. Thanks for having us.
oh hey Katie, so thank you so much for
Hello.
being here. And hi Alicia, I see you're in Mexico
I
today.
am by way of Chicago.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, why don't we get started? And if anybody else joins in, we'll have them come in and join. And what I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction today. I'm going to start by sharing just one screen to begin, and then we'll eventually get into the demo. So allow me to do that. Okay. I'm just going to start with a bit of an overview page. Let me know if can you all see that? Hopefully. Great.
Yes.
So really what we're going to, some of you already, well, actually all of you know a little bit about FamGuru already, but we're going to get into a bit more of a hands-on demonstration so you can see where it is today and what it's really all about. And I'll be talking a little bit about our history, just so you know the context, but then we'll be discussing, well, what is FamGuru? How does it help? And why is it important to us as travel professionals today? And then we'll dive into the demo. We'll talk about FamGuru for suppliers through the FamGuru website, which is the easiest place for those of us who are setting up itineraries and running FAMs to do that. We'll also give you a view about what the advisors are seeing when they're traveling with you, because that's important to see what the mobile version looks like. Everybody can do everything online on a website or on their app. However, certain things are easier to do, in advance as a supplier on the website, or if you want to be mobile, you can also do that on the app. And then we'll talk about FamGuru in the future and the things that we see coming down the track, which is going to make it even more useful and more helpful to everybody in the industry. And so that's the general structure of it. While we're on the slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history and about what it is, how it helps, why it's important, and then we'll dive into the demo. Sound good so far? Good. All right. And since it's a small group, you are welcome to either, as we're going along, please feel free to ask questions, whether that's verbally, unmute yourself and as we're going along, or in the chat. I should also mention that I'm here with Melissa Lopez, who is from our development team. She's coming all the way from Buenos Aires today. So we have 3 continents represented right now. If the guy from Germany had come, it would have been 4. And so I love that there's a lot of universal appeal out here. And then, okay, great. So why don't I get started? I know all of you. I'm Carrie Wallace. I'm the founder of FamGuru. I've also been a travel advisor for 20 years. I also have a boutique agency. So I have been doing this and have been doing fam trips for an awful long time. And from a context perspective, how did I even stumble upon this idea to have FamGuru? Well, as an advisor, I'm going to great places like all of yours, and I'm seeing tons of hotels or eating at great restaurants or doing cool activities, all of which I want to share with my clients. But that information is a bit of an overload, and it might be multiple hotels, multiple activities, 13 Michelin stars in France one time for me, and darned if I can remember what any of those are today. And so I always wanted to be able to come back and organize all of my learnings and my photos and share them with clients and share them with my colleagues and my team. But it was a little bit too much with 600 emails in the inbox. So I said, well, why can't, when I'm going on a trip, why can't I just put all this information in one place, add my reviews, organize my photos, and then press a button and have a report that I can share with everybody without having to spend a lot of time in layout and making it look good? Why isn't there an app for that? There wasn't an app for that. So that's why I decided to start FamGuru. However, building the app for the first time, I also realized that it's not just advisors who have these issues about getting organized so that we can better sell what we see. It also matters to our supplier partners, because you all are spending hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars putting together these great experiences with us in the hope that we're going to do something with that and to turn sales around to you. However, there's no guarantee of that. And so we're completely aligned. We all need for the advisors to become more organized and more engaged with what they're doing on these trips, so that they become brand advocates and the annuity streams for all of you when we get back. Because it's not just about inviting nice people. This is a marketing program, right? That's why it's important. And so what we've done here with FamGuru, I mean, at its most basic level, FamGuru is software. It's a combination of an app and a website that talk to each other and interface with one another. And it's meant for, number one, to help advisors traveling with you become better prepared for their trips beforehand, during the trip, being able to better capture what they see and organize their learnings. And then after their trip, setting them up for success so they can sell and market your hotels, your destinations, your products like never before. And it's also meant to engage with you and your products and the whole experience along a wider timeline. I heard something at a conference this summer whereby only 15% of a traveler's enjoyment is actually on the trip. Something like 55% is that anticipation, and 35% is the looking back and remembering how amazing it was with you. So what we want to be able to, and it's not really no different with fam trips either. We want that time together is super important, but we want to look at the margins too and say, how do we better engage? How do we better get our advisors prepared to sell before and after? Because that's where so much of their excitement really is. And that's where we can build that strong loyalty and really get to know them better. And then, we're in addition to helping them sell more travel and helping them sell more of you, it also happens to make this whole process of running a family a lot easier. So we're taking time out of the process. And so why is this important? Because it is a marketing program. We are trying to get a return on investment. All of us are trying to get a return on investment. The money that you all are spending and the time you're spending, that matters. And we're doing the same thing. We're taking time out of the office and not selling and not generating revenue because we're going out and learning. And so we need to have a return on our investment too. So we're here at FamGuru to maximize the experience for the best ROI that we possibly can for everybody in our industry. One thing I do want to point out too is that we think of FAMs oftentimes as just a group. And I know, Lily, you're doing some very interesting things on the self-directed FAM side, but a FAM is also when any advisor comes to visit you and have an experience in the location that they're going to learn from and they're going to share. So it could be as simple as a lunch and a site inspection. It doesn't necessarily have to be that group of 10 that's coming at one time 3 times a year. So there's different things that we're looking at here, suppliers being able to offer FAMs, but you're also doing those one-offs, and the advisors are also coming through on their own self-directed basis. So we've designed FamGuru to take advantage of all of those scenarios to help us gain more from our FAM experiences on both sides. How's that so far? Any questions up to this point? No?
No,
Cool.
that looks good. Thank you, Carrie.
Terrific. All right. So why don't we then, I'm going to stop the share right now, and I'm going to do a different screen share. I'm going to put up FamGuru. So we're going to get a hands-on look at what it is we're talking about. I know, Lila, you've seen it before, although it's probably been a while. And Katie and Alicia, this might be your first introduction. Hey everyone, welcome to FamGuru. What you're seeing is the homepage of the website. Once you sign up for FamGuru, you get a login and a password. That's good for either the app or the website. And so we're starting on the web because you all are managing the before, the during, and the after, and that's easiest to do on a computer on a website. Again, it can be done on an app, but we'll start here. So what I'll start by doing is I'll talk a little bit about this page and the layout. We'll talk about the profile, how you get help, and we create a trip. Some one. So here on our homepage, we're seeing a combination of what do we have active. So these are the things that are happening right now or in the future, and then our past trips. So we can always refer back to them. We can always jump back in and connect with our FAM participants from the past as well. What we have tier 2, where you might be getting notifications about different FAM trips, people accepting your invitations, people providing copies of their passports, whatnot. And we also have the ability to create a trip. I'll get into that in just a moment. But I'd like to start with the concept of the profile. And so everybody who's a member of FamGuru, whether you're an advisor or supplier, has a profile. And we collect certain information about everybody because we need this when we travel on a fam together. First, about you. If you've got advisors on your trip, you need to know who they are. What is their physical location? What's their birthday? Yes, I was really born in 2022, just saying. And how do we, you're collecting their mobile numbers, their email addresses, their Instagram handles, and all of their socials, because you want that. You want to check these people out. You want to be able to follow them while you're on the trip. And of course, emergency contact information. Now, also, professional information. Speaking about who are these people, we ask all of our advisors and everybody, in fact, to give a brief description about you and your company, any awards and recognition, business started, destinations you want to know better, destinations I saw most often, and our specializations. Now, we're asking all advisors to be as complete as possible with this. Why? Because we see helping you all search for advisors who are the best fit for your FAMs in the future. So if you're able to say, oh my gosh, I want people in this consortia who are based in this part of the world and have Mexico as one of their top places that they're specializing in, who are those people? Maybe I don't know them yet. And so we want to be able to help you find the right people, because we know fit on a FAM is actually half the battle in many cases. So we are going to continue to build that out and make it so that they're searchable to you in the future. Dietary restrictions, because we all need to provide that, because everybody's got a dietary, everybody has a preference. And so it's important for them to fill this out. And for advisors, or for you, if you're traveling on multiple FAMs per year, your hoteliers, your restaurants, whatnot, need a synopsis of that. We'll show you how to do that as we go along here. And if we edit this, you can say, I don't have any dietary restrictions. Great, we'll still ask you about beverages and anything else. So that's just a little bit about profiles. Going back to our homepage, I also want to talk a little bit about, actually I'm going to go into about whenever you see the question mark help. This allows you to learn more about the page that you're on. When you're in the app, you'll see the same thing, an orange question mark. And so this provides either video content or further instruction about how to use FamGuru and how to engage better with it, or how to do something that maybe you don't know how to do. So I'm just going to point that out. And of course, there's always, and through this function too, you can always send us, Melissa and I, a note, and it comes into my inbox, and we'll be able to address any other questions. And then finally, let's create a trip. How does one do that? Super simple to set one up. We have the ability here for, as you're starting, you can put in a stock image, but this is going to be your hero image that represents the trip to your advisors. This is the thumbnail that they're always going to refer back to, whether it's before the trip, during the trip, or 6 months after the trip, that it will help identify this information to them. You can drop your own image or use one of our thumbnails for now. Super simple to set up. A name, usually good to put the destination, the property, the month and the year, so that it can help remember that. Your organization, you'll select that here. Start date, end date, really simple. Now, trip invitation text, what is that? So you're going to be inviting advisors on this trip. This is 3 or 4 lines that say something to the effect of, hey, you're coming on our trip. We'd like to invite you to FamGuru to participate in our trip. They receive an email with your specific text, and then they click through, set up their account, and can accept your trip through FamGuru. Otherwise, we have something called a trip description. So this is your 3 or 4 sentences about what is this experience, so that they know what it is in advance. They're cognizant of it during, and when 2 years from now, they're not really sure what they saw before, they can refer back and have their memory jogged like that. We won't actually set it up, but that's just the gist, and that creates the initial structure for FamGuru. Questions so far? Pretty straightforward, easy. All right, so now let's say what we're going to do now is we are going to look at a trip that's already relatively fully formed to see more about how we put it together. I'm going to go into one of my past trips here. And this is Weekend in Bermuda. And you see my thumbnail here, which becomes how I recognize this trip. And if we need to do any changes right here, we've got all the key information. We can do it here in the edit function, just like what we saw before. And if not, we can take a look. And this is my hero image on the right-hand side. This page is basically the trip at a glance. How many have been invited? How many are pending?
Carrie,
how many are confirmed?
sorry,
Yes.
can I ask you a quick question?
Of course.
So with your sort of hero shot, your of the one on the right here. If you wanted to, is there any way you can put your own picture in there, or does it have to be from what is available?
No, it's actually up to you as well. So if we go into back to the edit, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Did we have someone just join? Yeah, okay. If we go back here, Lily, just a quick point out, browse or drop your own image. So you can put exactly what you want in there to customize it.
Sorry. Okay,
So
got that.
yeah,
Thank you.
Okay. And we're just going back here. We have just a place where we have a glance at the participants, any notifications. And if we're actually on the trip, you'll see what's happening tomorrow, the next activities on the trip. What I'll do is I'll start by focusing on the itinerary, because what you're doing, you probably already have an itinerary in mind, and it needs to be created through FamGuru as well. This itinerary is not so much meant to be your beautiful marketing itinerary, that gorgeous PowerPoint that you PDF and send to people in advance, but this is more the nuts and bolts. You're setting this up for the advisor. This itinerary is pushed over to the advisor's app and to their website so that they can see the structure, they can refer to the schedule, and they can start taking their notes and uploading their photos while they're traveling with you. They also have the opportunity to take any images or soon to be videos that you upload in advance and warm up their social media audiences. And we'll talk about that when we get to the app itself. So very simple to set up a trip. We have a few different components: adding a hotel stay, adding a hotel site inspection, because that's a very different experience, important to differentiate. When you stay somewhere, you get to know it a lot better. A restaurant, or anything else. And anything else could be, okay, flights. It could be the transfers. It could be yoga on the beach. It could be general notes about your destination. And so that's meant to cover just about anything else. In the future, we may have something more sophisticated with flights. At the moment, we would just put flights in here, for example, as reference. So let's talk about how we might add something. Let's add just for an example, let's add a hotel stay. Very simple to do. And we all know the Bellagio in Las Vegas. So let me just search here. This is Google Maps enabled. And so if you're putting in one of your properties or a property for the first time, let me just put Las Vegas here. You simply select and bring that in. In comes the map, the address, the website. You'll put in your check-in, check-out dates, your check-in, check-out hours. And then you have the opportunity to put your best foot forward as a hotelier, or if you're, in Lily's case, partnering with a hotelier, they can be part of your FamGuru on an admin basis and help you build this out. Contacts at the hotel, they're important. Description, this could be your virtuosa description, your preferred partner's description, whatever it is, website and phone. And then we also suggest adding your best images, right? This is where, when you give this to the advisor in advance, you're starting to engage with them. You're starting to allow them to go out and pre-market you, whether that's in their marketing emails for the agency or in their social media. Also your files. This could be your sustainability statements, your spa menus, your activity lists, anything else about the property you would wish to convey to the advisor. In essence, what we're doing when you're putting the itinerary together is you're building out the professional portion of the FamGuru archive. So this information is going to reside in the advisor's FamGuru forever. They'll have it before and during for reference, but then it's afterwards. Ooh, let me pull down the spa menu. Ooh, what was that? What was that sustainability initiative? What were the activities that I can refer to? So that's forming part of their permanent archive. While they're traveling with you, they're forming another part of the permanent archive, which is their impressions. And so they're taking what you give them, they're adding their insights to it, and then they have this amazing thing they can refer back to, remember from, because we all forget stuff, and come back to at any point in the future, whether it's a week after or 2 years after. I won't actually go ahead and save this, but it gives you an idea of how we would add a particular item to the itinerary. Let me go back to that itinerary right now. Let's get out of that. We won't add the Bellagio to this lovely itinerary. And so you'll see also that I've done I'll just reference a couple of things. I've done another booking here under Bermuda General Notes. I wanted to take some notes on Bermuda. I think advisors want to know about your properties, of course, and your activities, but also what is it that we are seeing. So to set this up, it's super simple. For me, when I put it together, it was just a title and a date. I put it at the beginning. And when the advisor comes in, and they can basically go in and take their notes through insights. If they were doing it on the web, they would use this button. We won't go into that right now. We will talk about that eventually. I will also mention that we have something called a library. So if you're doing your same hotel over and over again, or the same activity or the same item, you can add it to your library and bring it back in later on, again, the next time you do this. Or if you have some, if you just have advisors coming through for site inspections, add it to the library. If you're doing rinse and repeats, you have the same thing. You can always recall it. You can also do that with an entire itinerary. You do have the ability to duplicate it. So if we go back to the trip details and we look on these 3 dots, we can duplicate the entire trip. So again, if it's the same thing, you have the same advisor, you have one advisor coming through today and another coming tomorrow. You just change the date, change the advisor's name. There you go. You're done. So that's just a little bit about setting up the itinerary. I want to just mention that some people will say to me, well, shoot, that's an awful lot of work for me and my team to put that itinerary together, especially if you have a very deep destination, you're doing a lot. That can take time. The good news is, because we can save this is a one-shot deal in many cases, or you'll have the vast majority of it in there. Or we can recommend a resource offshore at a very inexpensive rate to help you put this in FamGuru. They know how to use FamGuru, and for about $10 or $12 an hour, they can get that up there for you if you don't want one of your team to do it. So we can help you out on that as well. Questions so far on itinerary? Making sense so far? Fingers crossed. Okay.
Yes, thanks, Carrie.
By the way, it is my goal that this should not be
Thanks,
the most
Carrie.
boring webinar that you have all week, or we all know that we sat through many of them that we eye roll during. I hope that's not the case yet.
No, you're doing great.
Anyway, I like to try to make it a little fun along the way. Okay, let's talk about participants, because those are super important. That's how we get our ROI. These are the people that are going to make it happen afterwards, right? And so we have the ability to invite people to our trip. I do suggest putting the itinerary together ahead of time, because once you invite someone and they accept, they come in and they can see what's there. And if you haven't put an itinerary together, they might wonder what's going on. So, but if you're in the itinerary and you're working on it still, you do have the ability to go into hidden or publish status. And so if you're adding a bunch of things and you don't want the advisors to see your work in progress, you just go into hidden, or you leave it, or you can be in published if you don't want it. Going back to our participants, then let's see how to add. Very straightforward. I'm just going to add Carrie at famguru.app. And if I add, you'll get to see that we have 3 different roles: admin, advisor, and viewer. So if it's an advisor, pretty self-explanatory. Admin could be someone from your team that's helping you out. Admin could be a partner that you're collaborating with. A DMC partner, if you're not already a DMC, or a hotel partner. Those are people that can come and edit the itinerary for you. Oh, hi, Marissa. Would you like to ask a question?
Hi. Yeah, Carrie, thanks for letting me chime in here. So I love that functionality here where you're talking about we can hide the agenda from attendees as they're joining on. We tend to generate personally for Tamarindo the list of clients before we roll out the agenda, just to know exactly how many people, how big it will be, how many packs fit per activity, and so forth. For the team on site that wouldn't have access to and doesn't need access to FamGuru, is the agenda exportable?
Yes.
To share with them? Okay.
I will show you a little bit about how you can export information to them, because we know that you're taking in a lot of information from your advisors as they're coming in, and it's a lot to manage, and we're automating that process as well. And so I will show you that momentarily. Okay. Great, good question. All questions are good. Anyway, and if there are people that just need to be a viewer, maybe you're the GM at the hotel, you want to see what's going on so they can see how it's progressing. Either, no matter what it is, you have the option to add the person as you would like. And again, once you add this person, they get the email in their inbox to join FamGuru and join your trip. So you want to be ready to do that.
Is there a capacity on how many participants you can have per agenda?
At this point, no. At this point, no. In the future, I think at the end, we'll talk a bit more about segmentation and structure and whatnot. But at the moment, we're letting people use it completely, fully, with no boundaries. And so no minimum, no maximum number of advisors or viewers or admins currently. So that's so far. All right, so now we have our list of advisors. Well, let's say we want to take a look at a given advisor. So we'll look here. What does that advisor entail? Well, I get to talk about documents. I forgot about that. we have here for a given advisor, we can see a couple different things about them. Here's what we bring in over here from their profile. So once they accept your trip, you have access to their profile information and their professional details, so you can learn about them and their dietary restrictions. If you want to share all of this information back of house with the people on location, one thing you can do is you can export the advisor's dossier. And so what this does is it generates a PDF, and that will come up here in a moment, so that you can take that advisor's information and have some context for the people on location that are going to need that information. So I'm going to open up the PDF here and show you what we've got. So here's my advisor dossier. In the future, we're also going to be, and you'll hear a little bit about how we're going to evolve some of these reports and these documents, but we also know that people have different things they might want to bring into this. People have different, they might want it in PDF, so we need to have it in editable format. But for right now, if you just need a snapshot on a given person and who they are and what they're all about, this is one way to do that, not having to compile all of that information into a document yourself. And so we will be, again, evolving this to be more flexible to your needs, because everybody does this differently. And so our goal, our challenge and our goal is to cover perhaps 80% of what people would want in these reports, and then to be able for you to customize it a bit further beyond that. But that's the first, one of the first reports we'll talk about, and you can download that, export it, print it, whatever you want to do with it. Okay, also back to the advisors. Let's talk about documents for a second here. So before the trip, you oftentimes need information from these people, right? And we advisors are notorious. We're horrible in terms of our own travel. We're so busy worrying about other people's travels that you may not get our information until the day before, right? So how do we manage that process? All that back and forth. I need your passport. I need your waiver form. I need I need your flight information. Fortunately, we've thought about that in FamGuru, and we have a section called requirements. And so by person, you're able to see the requirements that you have put and whether they've submitted that or not. And we have a section here. So when you're setting up the trip, you can set up your requirements at the same time, creating a document, whatever that is. It could be, I just need to know if you prefer a male or a female therapist because we're going to do spa. And so you can make it a requirement. And if you have a document like a waiver form that you want them to sign, you can upload it here for them. They can fill it out and return it to you either on their computer or through their mobile app. What happens in that process is that FamGuru sends them a notification, both on email and through the app, saying, hey, you've got this requirement, there is a deadline. And as we approach the deadline, FamGuru starts to automatically ping them, hey, we don't have your passport copy yet, please submit this. So you're reminding them automatically so you're not chasing. Now, let's say we hit the deadline and the advisor hasn't done it. Well, then you have to start you will have to chase eventually and start questioning how serious they are about participation in your trip. But the idea is to take it off of email, get it out of our email boxes because we're all too overwhelmed by email, and put it all in one place that you can track. If we go back to our participants list, speaking of tracking, you see the documents here. So let's say you have, in this case, we have one document required for this trip. You can see how all of your participants are coming along. And if you need to, you can get involved, or you can kind of see how people are engaging. If you want to check what's happening with a given participant, you can go here to the documents. And if you, let's see, what I can do is as an advisor, I can go on my website or on my app and I can add this information. I see it's not submitted. I just got the reminder. I can drop a copy of my information here, or I can type in the information that my host needs. It could just be I type my flight information, or I drop a copy of my flight in here. And I can delete that information after I travel, because maybe you don't need my passport after the trip is done. So you get a notification saying, oh, Carrie submitted a copy of her passport. You go in, you get that notification, you can check and you can see what I've uploaded, making sure if I uploaded accidentally a picture of my dog, you can say, ha ha, ha, rejected, cute dog, but Carrie, try again. And otherwise you can accept it. And then this turns to I forget what the word is, but it's now done. So you can start to track and keep everything in one place, and at a glance know where you stand on all those documents that you need from people. As also with the participants, you'll be able to see as they're going through and doing what we call their public reviews when they're on site with you. We have two kinds of reviews that I'm going to do this for somebody else, but we have two kinds of reviews. There are public and private. Actually, I'm going to go to a different. I'm going to go to Carrie at FamGuru, show you what this looks like. And the public reviews are meant to be shared with their hosts and other advisors on the trip. And as they're writing them, you get to see what they're writing. You get a notification saying, oh, Carrie's done a review for this hotel. Oh my gosh, look what she did. There are her photos, her exact photos. And here's what she wrote for her general notes. I wrote a lot there. You don't need to look at that. And so you can see how people are engaging. The people, our clients who are using this most effectively are requiring their advisors to do the public reviews, the public notes, because the advisors really do owe feedback to all of you. We can also take all of this information and compile it into a document with all of the advisors so that you can see what the group said about the hotel stay. What did the group say about this dinner? What did the group say about this activity? So you get a lot of feedback. There's a lot of 360-degree views, and that's useful to your on-site team. It's also useful to you if you have to manage expectations or change some things around. And then the other thing is you can genericize that report and take out the advisor names and take out the personal photos, and it becomes a really powerful sales tool. Actually, this is what our group of advisors collectively thought about their last trip with us. And then me as an advisor reading it can say, wow, I don't even have to go to South Africa. I could sell this. Look at what my industry colleagues have said about this. This is so informative. Now I know about the hotel and everything they thought and the pros and the cons and the firsthand experience. That is gold to me, like an advisor. So if I'm a colleague in the agency of that advisor, oh my gosh, I am grateful. So there's a lot of different ways we can use the information that's coming out of FAMs that we don't think about right now. These are almost, these are in many ways a testimonial to what people have experienced. And then also back under participants, I want to talk about so now we've gathered all this information. How do we put this together so that we can share that with the people on the ground? We can export a list into a spreadsheet because pretty much everybody is creating a spreadsheet. And what we're doing here, and this is, I will say that again, this is sort of the beginning stages of this, but wow, instead of hand typing this into a spreadsheet, why don't we use technology, take it out of FamGuru, automate it, and put it in here. Now we see making this more flexible in the future because to add, just for you to specify which columns you want, to be able to put the flights actually into this spreadsheet. We don't have that yet, but that's something we see doing in the future. And then, you need food and beverage to say, okay, this person, here's their dietaries, here are their emergency contacts. So you have it all in one place as a compilation. And we recognize that everybody's doing this slightly differently. So we see the need to make this much more flexible to choose your own columns and what information you're pulling together for your team or colleagues on the ground. So, questions so far on that? But the idea is to, we have all this data, advisors are putting them in, and why not just make it easy for us, right? As you're pulling this together, you have better things to do than butts with spreadsheets ahead of a FAM trip, in my opinion, and I'm sure in your opinion too. Let's see. So we've talked about, just everything we wanted to with participants. I'm going to move along to some other things on the left-hand side here, unless anyone has any questions at the moment. Okay. All right. Great. So participants, itinerary, gallery. All right. Gallery. So we all do a WhatsApp group, right? We pass the phone around at lunch the first day. Everybody puts in their phone number, and we have the WhatsApp group. Well, I'm on a mission to eliminate the WhatsApp group because we can do this automatically based on the information that we have from the advisors to begin. We have their mobile numbers. We have the ability for them through this gallery to share their photos together. And we also have the ability for you to preload photos here. Again, thinking about warming up their social media audiences or their colleagues, or saying, hey, look where I'm going. And anybody interested at, what can I look for you? I'm going to send you a photo. And as they're going along, you can add your professional photos to start, but as they're going along, they can add their best room photos, they can add their selfies, they can add their sunset photos. And the idea is that they should be able to share this with one another. And everyone here is going to be able to have a photo credit. There's a way to put in a description as well. And advisors can put this on social media, any photo that's within FamGuru. So we'll talk about that when we get to the app as well. Also about eliminating the WhatsApp group, we have created something called the chat. And so whether you're on mobile or on the website, you can chat with one another. You can chat in this box to the entire group. Or if you go here, you can select to give an advisor to be able to chat to and be able to go one-on-one within the chat as well. And finally, and you can post a photo in the chat, and you'll be asked if you want to put that in the shared gallery. We hope they will say yes. And also next week, Melly, hopefully you'll nod your head on this. We hope to have video ready. So with video, you'll have up to 2 minutes to, if you take a video that's really great, you want to share with the group, fantastic. Or when you are creating your itinerary, if you want to put a few video vignettes up in that area where you're adding the professional photos, by all means, do that too. So you have the ability, wherever you're adding a photo, to also add a video. So we don't want people to be going back and forth between 2 platforms. So why don't we make FamGuru everything you need in one place to be able to communicate before the trip, during the trip, and after the trip? With WhatsApp, after a while, WhatsApp puts all that data and those photos and those videos on ice. You can't get to them after about 9, 10 months, a year. And people leave the group. And so now the third part of that archive is actually all of these photos and that chat and those videos that people are sharing with one another that within their FamGuru, they can always get to. And, in 6 months, if I'm like, oh, that video would be perfect, I want to put that on my social because it's the right time of year to market this. You might not get it on WhatsApp, but you'll get it in FamGuru. You can download it and use it on your social.
I do
So-
have a question about the gallery and from
Mhm.
a hotel standpoint, doing something post-trip.
Sure.
Does this have the functionality to make a collage from the gallery pictures that you
Oh
could
gosh,
easily
not yet, but
tag
that's a
them?
brilliant idea, Marissa.
Yeah. That
That's
would be cool as like a summary of, hey, we miss you, or it was a great week, so that our partners can post it. But also in Tamarindo, we'll follow back up like 3 months after, 6 months after, to say, a year after, to say that, we miss you. This popped back up. That's a great way to get back on someone's radar very gently and
Yeah.
effortlessly.
We also see through the messaging chat function to be able to say, hey, it's our 3-month anniversary. How are things going? Thank you, Susie. We got your great booking last week. And get and send a little FOMO there in people, and also say, well, this is what's new. Here are a couple new images that I wanted to share with you. And so that's a great way. Yeah, I think it's wonderful that you're following up on this. I like to see a little heart on your screen. That's cool. And so that's a great way for you to maintain contact, because we all know that sometimes those sales don't turn around right away, but let's remind people, let's stay connected. And they've made some really wonderful friendships and relationships with you and other advisors. Let's keep that feeling about your fam experience warm and top of mind, right? I will also say we do have the library. People often ask us if you can, and so you keep your library is basically your one source of truth about your property or an activity. You can always update that. If you update something in the library, it does not automatically update into the prior trip. So the trip information comes in at the point of the actual trip. And so if you do have photos that you want to share with advisors, it's great to come back through the messaging to be able to say that. And I love your idea about the collage, just kind of like the iPhone does, having one, 6 months later, it's, on a certain date, you get that collage. I would love to do that. Melly's taking notes, I'm sure about that. All right. Also, just a little bit else about what's over here on the left and the file system. Now you can add a file to a given element in the itinerary, so something very specific to a hotel or an activity, great. However, if you have something perhaps a bit more general to the trip, so for example, Bermuda by Seasons, let's take a look at what that is. What was that? And if I want to see what that doc is, let me just take a look. And so I share this with the advisors. Oh my gosh, massively important for an advisor selling Bermuda, what to do when, what's the temperatures, when to go. That's an example of a document they might have on file, and an advisor can download this and share it with their clients in the future because it's part of the archive. Also, if we have go back here, if you can do things like this could be country information. This could also be, hey, this is the visa process. This is what you have to do. Here are your entry requirements. Here's what to wear on the trip, especially if you're going to a place like South Africa. You need to know about your safari clothes and your vaccination. So that can all be given here. You can also put, if you have that beautiful marketing document that you use to sell the FAM in the first place and the itinerary, you can attach it here too. So they have that. So it's a good catch-all place. It also forms part of the archive that people can refer to forever after this. We talked about the requirements. We talked about the chat. We talk about notifications. We talked about if somebody accepts your trip, you'll see a notification. none at the moment, for example, or if somebody has somebody sends a document, a passport copy, you'll be notified there. Let's talk for a moment about broadcast. Broadcast is a one-way communication. So if you don't really want to start a whole chat, you just want to say bags in the lobby at 8:15, leaving at 8:30, go. This is where you would do that. We also had somebody using it because they have a foundation that they support, and part of their mission is there is a social mission or a social component to every one of their fam trips, and so they give everybody the URL and the information about what it is they support and ask if they would consider donating. And they don't need to start a full chat about it. They just put it here for people to have on file and to be notified about. So, okay, so I'd love to just take a moment and those are sort of the key things I wanted to share from the supplier point of view when you're setting up and beginning to work with FamGuru. So this is a lot of block and tackle. And so for the people that have a lot of hands-on, this can be very valuable. We're working, one of our customers is Ultimate Jet Vacations, and they have 2 people that are dedicated full-time to familiarization trips. And when we brought them on board into FamGuru, they said, oh my gosh, thank you for making this for us, because we can see how this is going to make our lives easier. The goal, of course, is that our advisors are more engaged. They have better access to the information and the knowledge that they receive and learn, and they can be better sales agents and proponents of our experiences once they get back. But we also want to make it easier in the process. All right. Well, if there are no other questions at this moment, I will switch gears. I will stop sharing this, and I'm going to go to my phone. And oh, hi, Thomas. Are you joining us from Germany? I'm sorry, I didn't see everybody. Oh, I'm sorry you're muted, but I think you're here all the way from Germany. Thank you. Great.
Yes, I did. Dial it rather late, but I'm here.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. We know it's late, and we have somebody from South Africa, so you're on similar time zones. All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my phone screen. And before I'm not a techie. I leave that to Melly and others, but I never knew you could share a phone screen on a Zoom until I started this. So allow me to bring into my actual screen on my iPhone. Bear with me one moment. And I just want to give you a quick view of what the advisors see. And I know we're kind of close to the 45 minutes here, so allow me to do this quickly. It will look, but I want to show you how the advisors are using FamGuru. So here we are in FamGuru. I'm going to go into we have up here their upcoming trips and their future trips, as well as their past trips, so they can always refer back to what they learned. And I'm going to go back to our same trip. Where did it go? There we go. That will look familiar. Here's our same hero image. We have the question mark if they want help. They can find video content to guide them through FamGuru, so you don't have to be teaching them. And let me take you through how they go through FamGuru. Here are the required documents. So yes, Carrie, you do need to do your passport copy, and you have missed the deadline. If I have any notifications, they're here. Important is the left-hand navigation bar. This will look very familiar to you, right? And you use those 3 little lines, the itinerary. So this is the same structure that you've given to them, right? It's come directly over to their phones. Now, they can refer to this on a day-by-day basis, what's happening at what time. And also, they can start taking notes and doing the reviews in there. How might they do that? So let's take a look at the gorgeous Bermuda resorts. And here's the information. The photo, this is the photo that had been preloaded. Hopefully you would preload a few more of your hotel's photos than I did. But what do they do with it that's different? They have all the detail that you've put in, but now I'm traveling. I need to take some notes. I need to do some reviews. I need to remember this so I can share all the finer points and the important nuances with my clients, because as advisors, this is one of the most difficult things for us to get right. It's one thing to learn about the destination. It's another thing to be able to differentiate between the hotel properties. So let's talk about notes. And we have here the public and the private notes. We talked about public before. Public is what's shared with your hosts and your colleagues. And so these are just a few things that I shared on a public basis as the advisor on this trip. And here's my different photos that I took from general things. Up here in the right, this box, if I click it, I'm worried it's going to take the screen share off, but let's see what happens. It brings up my phone's sharing function. So I can airdrop this, send a message, send an email. If there's something I want to share with a client as it's happening, I can do it right here. or with a colleague, and then I can put it on my social media, my Instagram, my Facebook, whatever it is, through my phone. All right, and then I'm gonna also try to go into edit. Please don't kick me out sometimes. There. So with everything on the itinerary, they would rate it. It's important to have a rating so they remember. If they want to add a photo, how do they do that? We can do that either from the camera itself, from the gallery that they have saved on their camera, or we can take a picture right now. This is my computer. We don't need to take a picture of that, but you get the idea. As they're going on a site inspection, they can do this. I do suggest on a site inspection that sometimes sites move really fast, right? And so they might want to take all their photos, and you might want to go for a coffee afterwards as a best practice to say, okay, now we have 15, 20 minutes. Why don't you organize everything in your FamGuru? Because they do need time to absorb it. I will also say that in every comments box on FamGuru, if they don't want to type, they have two options. We have the phone's dictation function in the lower right-hand side. I can't do that on an actual Zoom call. Or they can go to the website. They don't have to type on the small screen. Or if they shoot their photos and put them on a drive, then they can upload their photos to FamGuru from the website. And then also, so that they can continue to engage, let's say they meet somebody on the property or in that activity that you didn't preload a contact for, they could add a new contact right there. Or, oh, for me, the rooms. Oh my gosh. How do I take 500, 600, 700 photos on a trip. How do I keep all the room photos straight? 6 months from now, I won't know what hotel I was in and what room that was. Here, I can organize it as I go. So this is indeed the ocean view to Queens. And these are my actual photos from the ocean view to Queens. 6 months, I won't remember this. And I can share those on social. And I can write my notes, number that I saw. And I will say that these notes are their private notes. These are more the nitty gritty. And if they didn't want to share something, it wasn't their favorite room, they could say that and not have to worry about others seeing that information. That's something that I always wanted desperately as an advisor. And here are your food and beverage outlets, photos and impressions. And also the same with your wellness, your gym, your spa, your tennis, what have you. Again, photos and impressions. And then my other favorite part is common areas, because as an advisor, I might forget to go see something on the trip. So let's see, if I want to add a new common area and let's see, what do I have here? It jogs my memory. It makes me go engage on a deeper basis. So concierge, I'm a family travel specialist. I didn't see the kids club. I should ask about that. I should go see that. I need a photo of that beach. Right? So very important for the advisor. And then all the time they're putting in their notes and their impressions. Now, for other parts of the itinerary, it's not quite as deep, but here, insights for just another type of booking, public and private notes, your photos, and your information, but it doesn't go quite as deep as the hotel. And then finally, what do they do with that? I mean, the goal is we want them to share, right? We want to take each individual advisor and 100x the exposure that they give you, 1000x the exposure that they give you. Get them out to, make sure they share it with all their colleagues, and make sure they share it with their clients as well, right? So let's go to our homepage on this trip, and we're going to show how to auto-generate that report that I always wanted. Yes, please, I would like a report. And it takes a moment to come up. This is another one that we're going to be doing some improvement on. However, using technology, we can compile all this information. Where did that go? Let me see where that went. There we go. There's the report. And this is meant to give you an itinerary at a glance. And so, Marissa, you had asked about, can we share an itinerary with the people on the ground? So yes, this would be the first page of this is something that you could copy out and share to your team so they know what's going on and at what time. And then we get into a bit more of the detail. So Melly and I are going to be working on suppressing some of these fields that may not be may not have data in them, so it will not take up space. But let's go down to, here are my personal Bermuda general notes. There are all my photos that I took, and there are my public impressions. And I took a lot of public, so I didn't do so much private. Let's go down to the hotel so you can see a bit more about that. And this was what was originally located, the professional portion of the archive. So it is important for you to do a good job on the professional side. And then also, okay, here are my public and private notes, my general ones, and then go down to, oh my gosh, yes, there it is. There is the Ocean View to Queens. So this is what I can take and start sharing with my colleagues. If you have, if you're marketing to Coastline Travel Advisors, 400 people, you want every one of those people to take that one advisor's experience and take it to their colleagues. We will be also allowing this to be more flexible. For example, just a hotel you might want to send to a client, or maybe just a certain destination out of all the ones that you visited, so that they have maximum flexibility. Also in an editable format, so you can import that to your MailChimp and to your agency's information and say, oh, Carrie's just back, and here's what she learned, and here's all this great data. And all of her insights and some actual photos of the trip and what she saw. So we want to make this highly available, more shareable. The more eyes you get on this, the better. It's not just that one advisor and what they saw, but it's who they share it with and then who sells it from there, right? So not too much else to show you on the advisor front, but why don't I start to wind down a little bit here and take any final questions, and Thomas says he has to go, so we will absolutely send recordings after this. Yeah, thanks so much for being here, Thomas. So any other questions right now? I know we're a little over time, so if anybody else has to jump, I understand, but I will stop sharing my phone screen.
I do have a question about cost, just because this
Yeah.
is ultimately, I mean, we can pitch and recommend as highly as we want, but it has to go through final approval from the hotel side, at least for our hotel.
Sure.
But I'm more anxious, not anxious, I'm more eager to learn about the functionality of how the hotel pays for it and what access the advisor has after that. Because I'm thinking for Four Seasons, for example, we have collections that are in Thailand, that are in the UK, and this might be easier for them if they're co-hosting fam trips for all these hotels to have access to it. But when we're a standalone like Tamarindo in Mexico, we don't tend to group our fams with
Right.
Punta Mita, because access isn't really the easiest. But we
Sure.
do group with Mexico City. So in our case, it would be most beneficial if Tamarindo and Mexico City Four Seasons were to do it.
Right.
But I'm just wondering on that side, and then also, what does it mean, for example, if we were to co-host with another hotel that did not have access to FamGuru?
Sure.
What does
Okay.
that look like for the advisor?
Okay. There's a lot of different questions there. Let me try to be as efficient as I can in answering that. It's important to talk a little bit about business model and involving other people in your trip as well. And so the idea is from the advisor perspective, the advisor always has a complimentary subscription, because we want them to use it widely, because that pooling of that knowledge is going to allow us to put together FamGuru for agencies, so they can mine that data with AI to be able to take everyone's FAMs and be able to look up what their colleagues made. That's more exposure for all of you. And we want them to be able, 6 months from now, to be able to refer back to what they learned on your trip, whether, and so they will always have a complimentary subscription to FamGuru. We do have a premium version for some additional functionality, but you can function just fine with regular FamGuru. Now, from the supplier point of view, there's a couple different things. So we have a subscription model. A subscription model is, you can either go monthly. The current rate is $129 a month, or if you sign up for a full year, it's $99 a month if you pay at initiation. The idea is that's meant for a DMC, a hotel, a particular, could be a marketing representation company, for example. Now, we do have situations like right now I'm talking to Liliana Diaz from Four Seasons Mexico and Nevis, different properties, and she's interested in all of her properties having this. And so if we're working with a couple different hotels at the same time, of course, we're going to package that together and make it more attractive and something you could share. Or maybe there's something we can do on our, we band a bunch of Four Seasons hotels together, other hotels together, to be able to make that, a better value for everyone. Then we are happy to do that. And so we'll gladly put together a custom proposal in that case. From the standpoint of, let's say, well, let's just not take if you're doing something, Marisa, and you're working with a different hotel, a transit hotel. Let's just say it's a different hotel than Four Seasons. Then you would invite that hotel in as a participant in your FamGuru as an admin. They would add their information. They don't have full rights to FamGuru to be able to craft a trip on their own. But they can be a participant in a trip that you are crafting. And so it's possible to bring in, if you have a DMC who's helping you with the activities, or if a certain restaurant or whatnot. So you bring in other participants to help you, but that doesn't give them carte blanche to do their own FamGuru trip. So and there's no cost to that. I will say that that everybody gets a free fam trip. So if you want to try it, there's no risk to you. So it is possible to sign up and try for free. And then after that, if it's something you find beneficial, we could look at a subscription, or we could look at bundling that together with sister hotels, or something more regional, and seeing what we can do there. Does that get to the heart of the question? I hope so.
It does. I know that was like 18 questions rolled in one. But thank you.
They're all and they're common questions, and I very much appreciate them.
Thank you.
And so, what we're hoping to do here is to turbocharge the advisors and to make them more effective at selling what they see, but making this a lot easier for you all in the process, because most of you are involved in sales. We want you out there doing sales. We don't want you out there creating spreadsheets, right? And we want you to take we want you to spend time with the people that matter, and let the administration be done by technology. And so, but also to be able to communicate better before, during, and after. I will say just a few things about the future, where we're going. And so we are looking at creating FamGuru for agencies. They're asking us for that. And so that's a bigger endeavor, and we have to figure out how we're going to address that. But they're saying, I want to pool all of this information from all of these wonderful places my advisors have been, so we can do better as a team. So that will be coming at some point. We're talking about before, during, and after. We want to help you measure ROI. Okay, what did this advisor do? How can we sync up with the GDS? How can we sync up with self-reporting, other mechanisms, other groupings, or your websites that are tracking this information on a per advisor basis, and saying and tying that back into a given hotel. Also, we want to be able for that advisor to self-report and give everybody else on the trip FOMO. Oh yeah, I haven't sold it yet. I should, because my colleague just did. So we understand the need to, and everybody's saying, well, what do we get out of that? It's really easy if somebody comes in with a massive booking right after, but that doesn't always happen. So how do we start to track that over time? That's challenging. It's hard for all of us to do, but that's part of our reason for being. And then we also talked about the searching for advisors. So who's out there that should know you that you don't know? That's what will help you find in the future. And there's much, much more we can do with this to come. Okay. Questions and thoughts, feedback, love to hear it, because what we're trying to do is make this what our industry needs it to be. I mean, I just have an interest in making things easier and more beneficial for everybody in our industry, whether we're an advisor, a supplier, agency owner. And Lord knows we work our tails off in our wonderful industry that we love. And so let's make it easier, more lucrative, and more fun for all of us, right?
Thanks, Carrie. I see how you really put your passion, for these trips and trying to make them better. And I love it.
Cool. Well, anyway, I'm going to share one last screen as we depart today. And this is just a little bit about, any next steps. So let's see if it shares. If you want to, I'm happy to do a follow-up with any of you about your particular situation and how we could structure it, how we could get you going on a trial and onboard your team to give it a shot. And we want you to sign up. So you can do that on our website. You can do it on the app. We recommend building as a supplier, working on the website first and foremost, but also getting the app so you see what it entails. And then we're always here for questions, and we would love for you to try it. And we'll keep you posted on your colleagues who are using it and whatnot. We're fortunate to have a handful of people, and we have a lot more in trial, some really nice brand names in trial right now with FamGuru. So we're hopeful to be making some bigger announcements in the not too distant future about different brands that are working with us. So thanks, everyone. Any last questions? And if not, we'll end it here, and appreciate you, and thanks for taking the time to come learn. And let's keep the conversation going, and happy to get you started too.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Andrea. I didn't get to say hi personally, but thank you for coming.
Thank you. Sorry I was late.
Oh, no worries. We'll send out the whole video to everyone afterwards.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye.